after this review. So, let's start now. Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 107, Episode 7, called Left Behind. And on screen, you'll see a little portion. I think it's over, but this is the video game version of Left Behind. And if I look over here, they have taken a good amount of it. I think I could read a joke to her. They've taken a good amount of it directly from the game. And we'll get to that in a minute, but there is some that if you haven't played the game, I would highly recommend jumping into it, especially this moment here. It's far more involved, not involved, but it's far more fleshed out because you're actually, you're going deeper into every scene and every moment in the game. It was kind of like streamlined for the show. And to some degree, it was a little bit less of a wow. Some people probably thought it was a big less of a wow, but my notes real quick, jumping into it. To kick it off, I thought it was a good scene with Joel in the beginning telling her to go back up north, but it did kind of take a little bit of the oomph away. I like the idea of leaving people with the fake out, is this a death of Joel moment, but it seems like they said, all right, we'll do a little bit of a soft one at the end of episode 6. And then this intro made it damn sure that, Joel's just out of the game for a little bit. Clearly, probably another episode, Joel will be out of the game. But, or I should say, half of another episode. The officer talk I want to highlight, that was just a side character and, blink and you miss it moment. But I thought the actor had a good amount of charisma for a one and done, probably never see him again type character. This build up here with the officer talk and the setup about her being a leader, outside of the charisma from the actor, it was good. I thought it was unnecessary though. You get a lot of this in Hollywood though. They're obsessed with setting up, bookending, and I get it to a degree. You have to set up things so you're not confused. That's very important. But sometimes you can see that a character has potential and they're loaded with certain flaws, and some of it aren't flaws in a negative way, but it's flaws of being raised without a family, so they don't even understand the value of having that type of connection, or they were raised in a rough environment, so they're a little rough around the edges. That might not be necessarily a negative flaw, but it's a characteristical flaw. Yeah, let's run with that. And shut up. Anyway, it's just unnecessary.
I can't call this a dumpster fire, because the Riley and Ellie first love situation is one of my fave things in game. Least we saw infected this episode.
Yeah, we had one good infected, but real quick, but they're obsessed with the setup. They're obsessed with book ending, which means you saw her going out the door, and then in this one, they bookend the flashback with that. Some of that just felt unnecessary, and they maybe had a more direct route to go if they would have trimmed some of that fat. But anyway, the mall visually I thought was fantastic when it first lit up. The merry-go-round, even in the video game, you can see where they got the inspiration. Visually, it's fantastic. The photos printing out was a little bit weird. Some of the video games playing after that long was a little bit weird. I think the suspension of disbelief is, I'm cool with it, because honestly, if you shut down the power to a mall and turn it back on in 10 years, I don't know what it would be like. I can pretend like I'm very skeptical any of that would work. There'd be a lot of rot, rust, corrosion, and yada, yada, yada. But when it came to printing the photos itself, that was the part that broke me. I think even in the video, and a nitpick part, even in the video game, I think it was gonna print, but then it was like, error, and they kicked the machine. But it showed it on the screen what the images look like. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. This is the internet, so you probably will. But some of that was a bit off when they had... take the printed photos, but add that to a couple parts throughout this storyline. But some of it, I'm totally fine. Like the arcade working, playing Mortal Kombat, I love it. I'll suspend disbelief for scenes like that. That's fine. But my printer, as an example, if I don't print something in a month, that bitch is like, nope, I'm not doing it, bro. And I don't know what happened to the ink, but anyhow, the arcade was awesome. Again, going with the visuals. I think the way they revealed it, I gotta be real, it kind of felt like they took away some of the oomph from it because they just did this cut and they were kind of standing there. I get what they were going for, but I think I would have appreciated more of a wonder and awe just on Ellie's face, just having her appreciate leading into the arcade and then doing the establishing shot reveal. Again, small nitpicks, but cool infected. Most of the stuff visually in this episode, I didn't have a problem with. I thought a lot of it looked really good. The bite is a bit weird. At first, I was confused how they would do the bite, since now we're getting the lasagna mouth, not the angel hair noodle mouth. So I wasn't really sure how they're gonna go about those bites. But Ellie did have a bite. Now, even in the video game, you don't really catch it, or at least I didn't, and I don't. When I go back and play it, I don't look for the bite to see what's going on. But I thought that's a weird option where they focus so heavy on the angel hair noodle mouth, which I still hate. It looks so stupid. However, when it's convenient, we get them biting. I just, for the life of me, I don't know what the point of this is with the angel hair. I feel like it's to cut out gore. And that's the reason why I think I'm most annoyed with it. Where you have something where can't have, a zombie actually eating somebody, ripping flesh off in the beginning. No, we need this angel hair noodle bullshit. These worms flailing around. No, it looks like hair. We need a hairy mouth and sucking on someone's neck. But then in this episode, we see clear bites, and it's just like, wait, hold on. I already mentioned that before, but real quick, I think that kind of wraps it up. Real quick, the argument separation coming back to the Halloween one, that I think there was a bit of a clunk there. However, I like the interaction between Ellie and Riley. My daughter made a joke. I still think the casting is a swing and a huge miss. So for me, it's losing a lot of its wow factor because I feel like the casting is so off. However, when they put on the masks, even my daughter made a joke. She's like, "Oh wow, now I can really see this is Ellie in live screen," because she's dressed like Ellie. The masks look just like the video game, and I got this vibe of, I got to be honest, man. If I felt like the casting was a little more, as far as the charm and the look, a little more closely resembling the game, I probably would go for it. And again, this isn't just simply look. The expressions aren't the same. I think we're getting more here with anger, sadness, disappointment. We are getting more than the first 4 or 5 episodes, but early on, Ellie, maybe this was because of filming, the actor loosened up a bit, but early episode Ellie is really, plain-faced. And Ellie, the character, is very expressive. And they did steal a lot of those expressions from the show that I think makes that connection a little bit rough. But I think it's a beautiful story of them two getting bit and the rage and anger tied into the fact that this is where she finds out she's immune. It's incredibly sad having her go through a range of emotions. And they don't go through with it. It's left ambiguous to what happens with her. But having that be it and that sadness linger with, especially their age, and they're just starting to really get out there and figure out, what are we going to do now with our lives and so on. Again, a lot of that I do love. I will say, being someone who played the video game a lot, this episode just slid by. Halfway through, I was looking forward to the end. I wanted it to be over. I want to get to the review. I want to get, the review done. I just want to move on from this episode. I didn't hate it. I think there's a few people in the comments that really hated it. I thought it was just an okay episode. And had I not played the game, maybe I would have liked this episode a lot more. But speaking of someone who did play the game, it really felt like they picked out stuff that wasn't in the game. Picked out stuff that was in the game, because this is a very it's one of those moments where almost everything in this episode was identically from the game. However, it is tweaked a bit. Some of it's condensed. They do skip a bit here and there. But I will say that the episode felt like it packed way less of a punch. And I think this is another example of one that should have been sprinkled throughout 2 episodes. Similar to how they did it. I know. Similar to how they did it in the game, where we got the back and forth between Ellie in present day and Ellie in the past. Have it connected. Have it span over 2 episodes. Flesh it out more. I think that would have been a better home run. This first season with The Last of Us, I'm seeing a recurring problem where if it would have been 30 minutes longer, if it would have been this, added a little more here, a little more there, because we're getting too many characters, too many events, too many things that are like, hello, I'm so-and-so, here's my connection, here's what I mean, I'm fucking dead, and then goodbye, so I think that was a huge fail. HBO knew they were going to do more than 1 season. I think it was an idiotic choice to crunch everything down. It's like a 4-hour game or something crammed into 1 hour for this one episode, because this was a separate DLC. So that's my thoughts and opinions. I would rate this one around a 5 out of 10, and not necessarily because I found everything that I hated in it, just because each scene, for the most part, was just okay. I'm like, okay, this is an okay scene. This is another okay scene. And then we have some that I like, and a couple sprinkles of things that I didn't really jive with. But I think I'm more positive as far as liking it. But the problem is, the things I liked, I thought it was just okay and meh. All right, so that's it from